Hi there, hope you're doing super well and that you are having a wonderful day. And I'm just really excited to be back here. As you can tell, I'm a little rusty. I don't have my usual, ease of just starting recording this, but that's because I was out for about 4 weeks, which was really fantastic. But I'm super excited about being back here and about today's topic, which is delegation. In today's class, we're going to see how sleeping pills or that extra bedroom or the couch or CBT-I or anything that you think made you sleep, how that works. And you can sense from that how really valuable it is to understand this and understand the concept of delegation. And the reason I'm doing this today is last Wednesday, I had a call with a client who had been spending, I think, 6 months, she said, reading my books, following the YouTube channel, and she hadn't heard of this. So I thought, we got to talk about delegation. But before that, very quickly, for anyone who has thought of joining the movement as a coach, you may know that every 4 months we invite anyone to apply, and there are 2 spots available for August 15th, for the start date of August 15th. You can apply today if you want to join the movement. And there really is only one requirement. People often ask about this, and that is that you are part of this community. I had an idea that we could recruit like somebody who's a fitness coach or something and teach them about sleep, and they could use what we teach here. But I see now that that is very tricky. It really works well when somebody knows our teaching, maybe has experienced the benefits of Natto themselves and want to join and further the movement. That's when it works really well. So if you're interested, head over to our website. At the top, there's a banner that says "Want to be a sleep coach," and you can click that and follow the links there. Now, back to our topic, we're going to talk about 3 things today. What is delegation? And we're going to talk briefly about delegation versus placebo and the placebo effect. And then we can see how understanding delegation, how that can work for us in, I think, a very practical way. It's tricky, practical, but still tricky. But anyway, we're going to talk about it in a second here. So before we actually talk about delegation, we just have to review the first, like the most fundamental principles of sleep, which is effortlessness. A little bit of a tongue twister, effortlessness, which basically is just expressing that the more we try to sleep, the more we're going to struggle, and the less we're going to sleep, and the less we try, the easier sleep will happen, and the more we will sleep. That is the first principle, in my opinion, of sleep. And if you're looking for some evidence, if you say, okay, where's the proof for this, Daniel? Well, think about that person who just sleeps so easily. They're out immediately when their head hits the pillow, and they never struggle. They have the secret, and you can actually easily, they'll share it quite easily with you without any hesitation. You just ask them, what do you do to sleep so well? And they go, I don't know. That is effortlessness. They sleep really well. And on the flip side, you have the evidence coming from somebody who struggled to sleep, and you ask them, what have you tried to sleep? And they go like, I've tried this. They have 20 things, and they're still trying so many things to sleep, and they're really struggling. That is, I think, some really good evidence that supports the first principle of sleep, of effortlessness. So basically, the conclusion here is that anything that leads to sleep must produce effortlessness, because that's really where sleep comes from. And on the flip side, anything that makes us struggle, that comes from effort. So now we have this first principle in mind, we can go to our first step here, and that is talking about what delegation is. What is delegation? So I'm using the example of a sleeping pill here because I think it works well. It's quite a practical way of teaching this. So I'm going to start with this. So imagine that we take a pill, a sleeping pill. The moment we do that, 2 things are actually happening. When we take a sleeping pill, 2 things are happening. What are those the 2? If you want to pause here and reflect upon it, you can do that. But A here is that we take the pill. Duh, right? Of course, right? That's happening, right? That is happening in that moment. But B is it requires a little bit more thinking here. B is that we are aware of that. We're taking a pill, and we are aware that we're taking a pill, which leads to response, or sometimes lack of response. Maybe we don't ponder at all, but typically leads to some form of response. And here's the thing. When that response becomes, oh, nice, now I don't have to do anything to sleep, this pill will take care of sleep for me, then that presumed task of sleeping, like the idea that we have to do something to sleep has been met. We have delegated any work of sleeping. We delegated that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to try to sleep anymore because the pill will take care of that for us. But again, we have delegated, and delegation leads to the absence of effort and sleep. From the first principle, we know that absence of effort leads to sleep, and delegation takes away that effort. On the other hand, when we take a pill and the response or our thought becomes, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do, we can see that delegation has not occurred. We're still trying to figure out a way to sleep. And no delegation leads to continued effort, or is continued effort, and wakefulness. So when we really, you might want to take a minute to really ponder this. It's a lot to take in. But really where this leads us is to see that the pill, the couch, or some like CBT-I, method, like, or CBT-I technique, like stimulus control, that isn't what makes it different. None of that can actually make us sleep, but any of that can lead to us thinking, oh, good, this will take care of sleep for me. There's nothing else to do. Then delegation has occurred, and delegation is really that's what matters. That's what makes a difference. Now, particularly in the example I chose with a sleeping pill, when I teach on delegation, there are two sort of common objections or common thoughts that come up. So let's look at those. And the first one is this one, but aren't pills like sedating? Don't they have some chemical properties? Isn't there something in there that is supposed to like make us sleep independently of how we think or respond? Well, it is true, of course, if the sedation inherent in some chemical is so strong that it renders us completely incapable. Is it uncapable or incapable? I might be wrong here, but anyway, you understand what I'm saying, right? It makes us not capable of producing effort. I mean, we can't even think. We can't even produce like a thought like, oh, I hope this will work, or something like that. When we're completely knocked out, so to speak, then there can be no effort. Then sleep happens. Then sleep happens. And this is, this is not delegation, but in this example, we have completely eliminated any thought process, right? So it's true that this is not from a delegation, but the thing is, this isn't how we use sleeping pills. Like in the example of like so completely, when we're so completely sedated that we can't even form a thought, that's more like somebody who's like completely inebriated, like completely drunk, right? And that's not how we use sleeping pills. Like we don't take a sleeping pill and become like completely like zombies, right? uh Maybe for somebody who's naive to something, takes a really strong pill, it can happen once, but that's not how sleeping pills are used, so it doesn't really apply. But then, okay, when you see this, okay, I see, like a sleeping pill doesn't make me like this in a similar state to if I was completely drunk, right? It's not like that. But we can still think, but doesn't like a little sedation help? Like, isn't that sort of a little bit helpful? Well, here's the thing. A, a little sedation, if we think, oh, I feel sedated, oh, this better make me sleep, I hope the sedation works, that isn't going to help. That's going to lead to more struggle. But on the flip side, if we feel a little sedated, we recognize that and we think, oh, good, I feel sedated. This will take care of sleep for me. Now I don't have to do anything further. That will help because delegation occurred, right? So again, we see that it's the delegation that makes a difference, and really nothing else. So two here, it just briefly want to comment on delegation versus placebo, because it can sound like, oh, Daniel, you just describing the placebo effect, which isn't really true. Because in the context of a sleeping pill, the placebo effect would in a kind of mysterious way say, oh, it just works because you believe it'll work, right? Which is sort of unsatisfactory. We haven't really understood, how that would help at all, because the next step, the absence of effort that comes from believing something will work, is not described in the placebo effect. So I think of delegation as like, you know, um, somebody who's worked a little further on the placebo effect, and the delegation is, I think, a more satisfactory answer to how things work. Okay, so with that said, number three is like, okay, knowing this, like having understood that delegation is what makes a difference, not the things we do, uh, then how can that work for us? Well, I think I put down like three things here. Firstly, and I think this can be really helpful, we can see that nothing makes us sleep. Like nothing from the outside makes us sleep. Anytime we slept, even if we took a pill or slept on a couch or slept next to our partner or slept away from our partner, those things don't matter. It's how we thought about it, how we responded to it. That's what makes a difference. And whenever we slept, it wasn't because of something from the outside. The magic is always inside us. I think that's so helpful to see. And similarly, we see that there's nothing required from the outside. That can be so relieving. And also, there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing broken that needs something from the outside to be fixed. Everything we need is always inside us. I think understanding delegation can take away a lot of confusion and allow us to see all of this. That can be really helpful. And B is that, not when we understand delegation, we can delegate to the true source. And I'm sort of smiling when I'm saying this, because the tricky thing, of course, is delegation is, when if we think of it as an active thing, like, okay, good, tonight I'm going to delegate to this, then we see that we're not delegating. We're trying something. We're sort of using delegation as an effort to sleep. But we can, in some sense, still delegate to the true source of sleep, which is nothing. Sleep comes from the absence of effort. So we can go like, okay, I'm delegating. I'm not going to do anything. I don't need to do anything. It will take care of itself. Then in some way we have delegated to the true source, which is nothing, or we can just think of it as the brain, like the brain will take care of it for me. There's nothing else needed. So that can be really helpful from understanding delegation. And then finally, and this goes back to actually my conversation with the client I had Wednesday, she immediately saw the value of delegation. She understood it, and it rang true to her. But her follow-up question became sort of like, okay, this on a cognitive level sounds really nice, makes sense, but how do I translate this into like something practical and tangible? And I answered this, that whenever we see something, that there's a value in something like delegation, for example, if delegation would occur, that would be really nice. That would help me. But we don't see how we can do that. Then the North Star analogy from, I think, a few weeks ago, you'll find it if you just go through the videos here. That can be really helpful. And that's why I taught her about the North Star idea, which is basically giving our brain sort of a big vision and allowing it to figure out how to arrive there on its own. So that was very, very brief, but check out the North Star idea if you are not familiar with it. And I hope this made a lot of sense to you and it was valuable to you. And if you want to talk with me about this, if you want to schedule a coaching call with myself or with Coach Michelle, or if you want to join one of our programs where we can explain this and many other concepts, then just head over to the Sleep Coach School. And if you decide to join, then we look forward to seeing you on the inside. With that said, I'm super excited to be back. I have much more planned to teach on, and I look forward to having you back here real soon. Until then, take it easy. Bye for now.